Go into the world and tell every man that you meet, there is a man on the cross.
A Catholic Take. What you need to know right now. A bold synthesis of inspiration and information. Keeping you up to date on the news and issues from a courageous Catholic perspective.
A Catholic Take with Joe McLean starts now.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McLean. Praise be to God. It is good to be on with you. You have survived the weekend. Congratulations. You get to get straight back to your work this week. I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing. Very productive. We have a lot to talk about, though. A lot has happened over the weekend. We've got 7 new saints. That's good news. Saint Bartolo Longo Oro Pro Nobis, a guy that I've had a devotion to for years now, praise be to Jesus. I can finally call him saint, so I'm really happy about that. But over the weekend, that ceasefire in Gaza, well, hey, it was a good idea. It was really a good idea. But apparently, killing each other is just a way of life. And I guess no amount of effort is going to really stop that, because there's no parent in the room to get in between Israel and everybody else. So there we go. So more people have died over the weekend in Gaza. Some say as much as 40. But Donald Trump's pretty sure, hey, don't worry, it's going to be fine, even though people are dying. And while that's happening, Israeli settlers took a great opportunity to harass and attack Palestinians who were harvesting olives in their own olive gardens, even assaulting a woman, an older woman, with a cane. I mean, that's a good time, praise be to God. But hey, we're going to see King Charles pray with Pope Leo. First time since, I guess, 1534, something like that. That's kind of a big deal. Is that a step in the right direction? We're going to have conversations about all of this today on the program. Mike Koeniger, friend of the team, is going to be on at 14 past the hour from sunny Virginia. Plus, also Mark Lambert from Catholic Unscripted is going to be here. We're going to be talking about all of this, maybe even usury as well, and Prince Andrew. He's made the headlines again. So there's a lot to get into today. We're going to be linking to everything in the show notes for you at the top of the hour at thestationofthecross.com/ACT, plus the after show where you get to voice your side of all of this conversation. If I can have an opinion, so can you. And the way you express that is by commenting on the live video feed, which you can find linked up at thestationofthecross.com/ACT. So much to talk about today. Let's pray. Let's get after it. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thine intercession was left unaided. Inspired by this confidence, I fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, my mother. To thee do I come, before thee I stand sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not my petitions, but in thy mercy hear and answer me. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And now your saint of the day.
St. John Cantius, pray for us. John Cantius, or Jan Canty, was born into a pious rural Polish family near the town of Canty in the year of our Lord, 1390. He studied philosophy and discerned his vocation at the famed University of Krakow, where he became a professor of philosophy after his ordination. He then briefly served as a parish priest, but struggled greatly with the assignment, and readily accepted a new position as professor of sacred scripture back in Krakow. There, Father John spent the rest of his life, aside from 4 pilgrimages to Rome, entirely by foot, and a similar pilgrimage to Jerusalem, where he hoped in vain to be martyred by the Turks. On one pilgrimage, he was robbed, but when he called the culprits back to give them some gold he had forgotten was sewn into his cloak, the astonished thieves restored what they had originally taken. Father John was strict on his own flesh, as he was generous to the city poor, and he worked many miracles and took special care of students, even after his retirement. By the time he died on Christmas Eve in the year of our Lord, 1473, he was renowned as a living saint, and many more miracles occurred at his tomb in the university's church. In the modern calendar, he is celebrated on December 23rd. St. John Cantius, pray for us.
And now your headline news. Ground News reports Secret Service discovers hunting stand with direct sight line to Trump's Air Force One. That's a good time. The U.S. Secret Service discovered a suspicious hunting stand with a direct line of sight to where President Donald Trump exits Air Force One at Palm Beach International Airport. The FBI is leading the investigation into the discovery of the hunting stand, but no individuals have been connected to the scene as of yet. The hunting stand appears to have been set up months ago, according to law enforcement sources. The Associated Press reports coroner says a seventh person has died from injuries in the Mississippi Delta town mass shooting. A seventh person, Ebony Williams, 25 years old, has died from injuries sustained in a mass shooting after a homecoming football game in Leland, Mississippi on October the 11th. The shooting left more than a dozen people injured, with 6 others declared dead at the scene or shortly after. 9 people have been arrested in connection with the shooting, with several charged with capital murder. But the motive remains unclear. And Catholic Vote reports Vance marks the Marines' 250th anniversary. Quote, when officials try to shift focus to mandating diversity quotas, or they try to inject partisan politics into the American armed forces, they impede the Marine Corps' ability to do its best work, close quote, said Vice President J.D. Vance in a Saturday speech marking the 250th anniversary of the United States Marine Corps. Vance himself, a Marine veteran. Semper Fi. And those are your headline news. The gospel today comes to us from Luke chapter 12, verses 13 through 21. And one of the multitude said to Jesus, Master, speak to my brother that he divide the inheritance with me. But he said to him, Man, who hath appointed me judge or divider over you? And he said to them, Take heed and beware of all covetousness, for a man's life doth not consist in the abundance of things which he possesseth. And he spoke a similitude to them, saying, The land of a certain rich man brought forth plenty of fruits. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? And he said, This will I do. I will pull down my barns, and I will build greater, and into them I will gather all things that are grown to me and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thy rest, eat, drink, make good cheer. But God said to him, Thou fool, this night do they require thy soul of thee. And whose shall those things be with which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasure for himself, and is not rich towards God. The Gospel of the Lord. Laus tibi Christi. Cornelius Lapide had a lot to say today, praise be to God, on this passage. This is a matter of the courts which dispose of secular questions. It has no part in me who teach and dispense a heavenly heritage. Christ does not here deny that he has judicial power, for he was the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, but he wished to use his power over a covetous man to cure him of his greed and to teach him to prefer heavenly to earthly things and to give way willingly to them, to the heavenly things, according to his own words. For him that taketh away thy cloak, withhold not thy coat also. He rightly sets aside earthly things, says St. Ambrose, who came down to us for heavenly ones. Hence, this brother is rebuked, not undeservedly, for he would fain have occupied the dispenser of heavenly things with those of the earth. At the same time, he taught that ecclesiastics and spiritual persons ought not to meddle with secular things, but to employ themselves in divine ones, as St. Paul says in 2 Timothy 2:4, no soldier on service entangleth himself in the affairs of this life. Of course, St. Augustine and other St. Gregory the Great, there are St. Ambrose himself, were all governors of the secular state before becoming bishops. And so there were many occasions in which bishops did have to sort of enter into the fray, the gap between the breakdown of society and the elevation of Holy Mother Church, and have to restore order. There are many examples. But the Lord's point is made clear. Give unto God what is God's, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Dost thou want barns? Thou hast them in the bellies of the poor, says St. Basil and St. Ambrose. Thou hast storehouses, the bosoms of the poor, the houses of widows and orphans, the mouths of infants. Let these be thy barns, and they will last thee forever. St. Basil, again, in the homily above, says, he is a despoiler who, when he receives what he ought to dispense, considers it as his own. The bread thou hast in the bread of the famishing, thy robe in the robe of the naked. Thy silver that is buried in the ground is the silver of the indigent. Wherefore dost thou wrong so many poor whom thou mightest support? In other words, instead of building yourselves up barns, use whatever the resources God has given to you for the greater glory of God, for the salvation of souls, for the need of those whom are so precious to the Lord. The rich man again errs and commits sin, first in promising himself very many years when he was to die that night. He who promised himself a long life did not see the following day. You can't take it with you, can you? You just can't. It will be asked, who is rich towards God? I answer, he who has by alms and other good works many merits and safeguards hidden up as treasures before God. Where your heart is, there is your treasure. Is your heart for God? If not, consider changing that as fast as possible. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
iCatholic Mobile is a proud sponsor of the Station of the Cross. Solid connections, reliable data. That's iCatholic Mobile, a 5G wireless provider dedicated to your faith and values. Enjoy unlimited talk and text, dependable coverage nationwide. And every plan has unlimited data and free roaming in Canada and Mexico. iCatholic Mobile, the service that connects you to what matters most. More info at iCatholicMobile.com.
Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain. So good to be on with you. Praise be to God. Hey, coming up at 30 past the hour, Mark Lambert from Catholic Unscripted is going to be on the team. King Charles is going to be going to Rome to pray in the Sistine Chapel with His Holiness Pope Leo coming up, I think, very, very soon, maybe even this week, along with the Queen Camilla. First time since 1534. Kind of a big deal, but what does it mean exactly? We're going to get Mark Lambert on the team to talk about that. Plus, Prince Andrew's giving up his titles, kind of a falling out from the Jeffrey Epstein debacle. We're going to catch up on that and other stories with Mark Lambert from Catholic Unscripted, CatholicUnscripted.com at 30 past the hour. Do join us for that if you can. But over the weekend, more bad news in Gaza. That ceasefire, boy, that was a cute idea, wasn't it? I mean, it would have been nice to have peace. But, you know, I guess they just go on killing each other over there over and over and over again. But Donald Trump says, hey, don't worry. Don't worry. I know that 45 people have been killed now in just the last 24 hours. But, hey, that ceasefire is still holding fast. Join us to talk about this and other stories. Our good friend of the show, Mike Koeniger from sunny Virginia. Good morning to you, Mike. Happy Monday, brother.
Happy Monday, Joe. I'm looking outside and the sun is rising and it's a beautiful day. So happy to be here.
Praise be to Jesus. I got to say, I mean, it lasted longer than I thought it was going to last. This whole ceasefire thing.
They claim it's still lasting. I just went and ran through all my news aggregators, and the BBC says it's now back on. The ceasefire's now continuing. They're going to have further meetings regarding the disarming of Hamas and what the future governance is going to look like.
Mike, I got to say, a famous Sicilian once said, I don't think that word, or no, guess it wasn't the Sicilian who said it, but I don't think that word means what you think it means. You know? It was the swordsman. It wasn't the Sicilian. But anyway,
it's a great book. But
yeah, like when you're killing each other, that's the the literal definition of breaking a ceasefire.
I do think that Trump spoke truth yesterday and when he said it's more likely soldiers, not leadership. And I think that was the kernel of truth in what he said. And so remember these, if these are indeed terrorists, and I question anything that we're told on this stuff right now. Remember, I'm the guy who says if you picked a side, you picked wrong. But if indeed it was terrorists, I believe it was the soldiers who are saying, so to speak, the ground troops saying, we don't like this ceasefire. So I think that is the one bit of truth that was spoken in there. But quite frankly, Joe, I don't see this ceasefire holding unless there's some kind of peacekeeping force put in Gaza. And I don't know who that could be. We don't want Americans over there. That's not going to end well. I don't think either side has a great deal of respect for American power and would have no problem shooting American soldiers. But there needs to be some kind of force, and perhaps it could be the Saudis or some other, maybe Egypt, some nation that Israel has good, solid peace treaties and good, solid treaties with. And that's just my thought in this. When I saw those terrorists picking olives in the video you sent me, how dare they? How dare they? So
the whole thing is absolutely out of control. Yeah, that was the other story is while Israel, IDF is bombing Gaza again, and I guess dozens of people are dead now as a result. Now they did claim their side of that same story is 2 IDF soldiers were murdered. That's what their side of the story is. So 2 IDF soldiers are killed. They bomb it in retaliation. And now 45 people lay dead. And according this morning, apparently some IDF guys, our soldiers, shot even 2 more, I think, Palestinians that crossed a boundary. They crossed some sort of boundary, some sort of yellow tape boundary or whatever. And as soon as they crossed over, they shot them dead. Kind of reminds me of East Germany versus West Germany post World War II. Even when I was a boy, we visited the Brandenburg Gate, and there was a line. And if you cross that line, those soldiers manning the guard towers could kill you legally. They could shoot you because you crossed this buffer line. Well, as a little boy, I crossed that line, and my dad, freaking out, came running over to try to get me the whole time with his hands in there. Please don't shoot! Please don't shoot! Trying to rescue me from being, They were never going to shoot a little boy. But nonetheless, it's kind of like that. That's what's going on. And that happened this morning, and they killed 2 more. And while all of that is going down, is these Israeli settlers, some of which are from the United States, going to the Holy Land to take an opportunity for themselves. And all they got to do is shoo away the Palestinians to have the land. And they attacked a woman with a club. And these Palestinians, it's harvest season for their olives. They're out to try to harvest their olives. And these settlers attack them in droves. There's video of it all happening. But don't worry, the IDF showed up to restore order for the Israeli settlers, not the Palestinians who were attacked.
Joe, a few weeks ago, you sent me one of these videos on a Sunday because I think it's sport for you to see how mad you can make me on a Sunday afternoon. But
it's my goal. It's my one purpose in life.
One of the many, right? But no, you sent me this video, and the IDF watched it happen in that video. They sat right there up on the hill watching it go on. So I think this too is part of the plan. And, there's no doubt they're terrorists in Gaza. They're terrorists in Gaza City. There's no doubt Hamas, they're not good guys. They're just simply not. And I don't think anyone on your show, any guest, has ever said they are.
I don't like either one of them, to be honest. I stand with the people caught in the middle of between a rock and a hard place. They're the ones stuck here. Hamas is bad. IDF is not doing good and holy things. They're not acting virtuously here. So what's the answer to this? I'm not a forever war guy. I'm not we should be occupying and sending troops to foreign countries kind of a guy. But I don't know. I don't know how else to solve this other than there needs to be an adult in the room preventing these 2 people from killing each other.
And I thought about this after we decided this was what we were going to speak about last evening. It's time for Trump to say, show up and do the right thing or else. And the or else is simply we cut off aid. The moment anything happens, we cut off aid. I'm quite certain that both sides are getting U.S. aid. We just simply stop giving everybody aid. But more importantly, Joe, it's the resources we provide to Israel. We are certainly providing them a great deal of resources, and I think we need that to make that contingent on this peace being held. If Trump truly wants the Nobel Prize in 2026, which I think he does, I think he sees it as his legacy, then indeed he's going to have to use some muscle to make this happen, because Israel right now is making him their lapdog. And that's not a good place for the U.S. to be in this. And quite frankly, I'm quite proud that he did negotiate some kind of peace treaty, something Biden could not do. But this needs to hold. And it lasted a whole week, Joe. Last week on this show, we were wondering if it was going to last even a few days, right? So it lasted a whole week. Let's see if we can get it to last a month. And the only way we can do that, certainly we need to have the carrot, but we also need to have the stick. And President Trump has to be willing to use the stick. And again, I think it's going to take a third party to come in. I don't know who that third party is. I pray it's not the United States government or U.S. Army.
I mean, even if it was the United Nations, it would mostly have to be probably us supplying for it anyway. Right?
If it's the United Nations,
we are the military-industrial complex. I mean, one of our insiders says, female Casey Royals fan, good morning to you. Thanks for hanging out. Says, we could save billions of dollars if we stopped foreign aid. I mean, just think about that for a second. If we stopped giving foreign aid out to Israel or to some of these other countries, I mean, our roads could be improved. Our schools could be improved. We could do so much damage to just our massive deficit that we have, inflated over the last few decades because of our policies in this country. But we continue to give them to these forever war situations. And it seems like we're not very serious about truly fixing these problems, because if we were, we wouldn't do or make the decisions we're making. We'd make different ones, it would seem.
Agreed. And this has always been the issue. Now, foreign aid is wrapped up in the defense budget as well. The number one expenditure by the U.S. government is defense. We outspend our next 10 biggest militaries in the world all combined. If you combine 2 through 11, we actually spend more than 2 through 11 do on military. And that's not even counting the hidden aid that's within the budget. And I agree. We need to stop with the direct aid, which I thought in January and February with DOGE was going to happen. Apparently it hasn't. And then we need to take a good hard look at our military budget and see how much of it's actually being used to defend the U.S. and what's being shipped abroad as aid. We give ships, we give planes, we give all kinds of military armaments. We were talking about giving Tomahawks to the Ukrainians.
Yeah, exactly.
This needs to end. It simply needs to end. Is the arms dealer guilty of the sin of war, unjust war? And as a Catholic man, that is the question I often ask myself. Now, Joe, they don't put us in any position where our voice matters, but our prayers certainly do. Are we the peacemakers that Christ talked about on the Sermon on the Mount? And I hate to say it, Joe, you and I personally maybe, but our nation certainly is not. And George Washington warned us about this. Eisenhower warned us about this. Everyone has warned us about this, right? And so we need to step back. And in this case today that we're talking about, we are providing the arms that are killing both sides. Both sides.
Yeah, right. So, we are opportunists, to say the least. By the way, I did see also that there was, I guess it was over the weekend, a massive rally in Midtown New York with thousands of Orthodox Jewish protesters. Guess what they were protesting? They weren't protesting Palestinians and Gazans and Hamas. They were protesting the Zionists. They were protesting the IDF. Isn't that fascinating? That thousands of Jews gathered in New York in protest of what they see Israel doing in the region as being a part of the problem and not part of the solution. Utterly fascinating to me to see that.
I found it amazing.
I guarantee I'm going to get some hate mail today because somehow I'm being anti-Semitic for calling what is obviously a problem and discussing it. It's an ongoing, perpetual, dog whistle when every time you talk about what's going on over there, you're labeled, you might as well be Adolf Hitler at this point. It's ridiculous. Bad things are going to continue to happen. There needs to be an adult in the room. And frankly, I just don't know who that is. I just don't know who's going to seriously be able to do that and pull it off. I just think we have to get used to the idea that there will never be peace this side of the second coming.
It's a tough spot, Joe, and I have not said anything ill. I have no ill will towards Israelis. I have no ill will towards Palestinians. I've often said on your show that my number one concern are the innocents, the people who aren't engaged in war.
Exactly.
And particularly the Christian martyrs, not just in Israel, not just in Gaza, the Christian martyrs in Nigeria, the Christian martyrs all over the world. My heart hurts for those martyrs. And Joe, I pray, one, that I have the courage of those martyrs, and two, I pray for them. And I think as Catholic men and women, that's the only thing we can do, because we are powerless in this.
Well said. Mike Koeniger, friend of the show, the brick wall, as we lovingly call him. I'll see you at the top of the hour for the after show, but coming up here in just a couple of minutes, Mark Lambert from Catholic Unscripted. CatholicUnscripted.com is going to be on the team. Let's talk about King Charles. By the way, Mark Carney over the weekend swore allegiance to King Charles. I guess that's part of what Canada still does. I just wonder, what does all that mean, really? What does it really mean? To have a king that you give no true allegiance to? I just find that fascinating. But what does it mean when King Charles prays with Pope Leo this week? First time since 1534. Kind of feels like a big deal, but is it? We're going to get Mark on the team to talk about that, plus more. It's all coming in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain, and here are your headline news. The Associated Press reports no king's protest against Trump draws crowds across the United States. Large crowds of protesters marched and rallied in cities across the U.S. Saturday for No Kings demonstrations, decrying what participants see as the government's swift drift into authoritarianism under President Donald Trump. It was the third mass mobilization since Trump's return to the White House and came against a backdrop of a government shutdown that has not only closed federal programs and services, but seems to be testing the core balance of power. Slate reports Trump commutes prison sentence of ex-GOP Rep. George Santos. U.S. President Donald Trump has commuted the prison sentence of George Santos, a former Republican congressman, ordering his immediate release from a 7-year sentence for fraud and identity theft. Santos has reportedly spent long stretches in solitary confinement and has faced mistreatment whilst incarcerated. The commutation followed a public campaign urging Trump to issue a pardon for Santos. And Catholic Vote reports Pope Leo canonizes 7 new Catholic saints. Pope Leo yesterday canonized 7 new saints in St. Peter's Square, including St. Bartolo Longo, a former satanic priest who repented, became a third-order Dominican, and championed the Rosary. Praise be to God in all things. Lady of Pompeii, pray for us. Those are your headline news. Joining us now from CatholicUnscripted.com is Mark Lambert. Mark, good morning to you. Thank you for your time.
Morning, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
Praise be to God in all things. Hey, King Charles. They made an announcement last week. He and Queen Camilla are going to be going to the Vatican. They're going to be in the Sistine Chapel. They're going to have like a battle of bands kind of thing, like the Pope's choir versus the King's choir. Kind of a big deal. How are you seeing it as one of his subjects, as one of the citizens of England? Is this as big a deal as it sounds like, or is it nothing?
Yeah, well, I think in some respects it's a huge deal. It certainly has the potential to be a huge deal, and I think we'd all like it to be a huge deal. What worries me is the undertones of environmentalism that we see behind all of this, the prayer thing, which makes you think that instead of it being this great move towards unity, it's actually just a dumbing down of everything and making everything, it's another form of relativism, if you like.
Like political, theater.
Yeah, exactly.
Help me understand King Charles. He seemed like, I get that he's a figurehead mostly in the sort of the political structure of the United Kingdom, but still, He's the king. I mean, it just seems bizarre to me that he needs to embrace all religions, all ideas, all philosophies. Why would a king think that way? That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
I think that the idea is that he's a king for all of our subjects. And there's a real dichotomy between the way that we think about the king. Some people think that he's got his own agenda, he's got his own ideas, and they are at odds with the men that are behind the scenes, moving the curtains and pulling the wheels. So there is some evidence in his personal writings that he is moved to a more orthodox form of Christianity. But there's no evidence of that. We haven't seen any evidence of that. And I kind of think this is very much my own personal opinion, but to me, the royal family are an extremely wealthy, segregated group of people who live completely different lives of privilege and power, which they haven't earned by, it's just something that they've inherited, the way that they're treated and the way they behave. And I think where the late Queen Elizabeth II had this constant ethic of service, which was really something to be admired, much of her family are lacking in that, and they've got this sense of their own self-importance, which, I mean, who can blame them? They've been brought up that way from birth to think like that. But certainly Prince Charles seems to think that he's an expert on all manner of different things. That's how it comes across to me anyway. And he doesn't strike me as the man who would be humble enough to admit that the Church of England shouldn't have split away from the Catholic Church.
Right.
That's what I'd love to see happen, but I don't really see that this is anything about any of those things. And what we actually see being enacted within the Church of England is it's moving further away from the Catholic Church. So given none of those things, I don't suppose will be addressed by Pope Leo, or certainly not the king, because he doesn't really have very much to do with it. And his son, who is due to inherit the throne, has already said that he doesn't really have any, he hasn't got any Christian faith whatsoever. So that makes all this a bit meaningless, like you say, theatre, doesn't it?
So I guess one of the downsides or potential risks or consequences to this might be that, is it bad for Pope Leo to acknowledge King Charles as the head of the church in England?
Well, it's certainly at odds with Dominus Jesus, isn't it? With the CDF teaching.
To give like the respect and the dignity, the awareness, this optics of the two of them as like they were equals or something there at the Sistine Chapel, I feel like that's counterproductive, to say it mildly.
I totally agree. It really does worry me very much. Like that, what exactly are they trying to demonstrate here? There is a false equivalency about it that risks confusing the faithful as much as anything else.
Right.
Unless Pope Leo plans to speak clearly about it. But I can't really see that he does. They seem much more aligned. I mean, there's the recent comments that Leo made about usury, and this is another thing of Prince Charles's hobby horses. So these are good things, but they're all very much about making the world as that we live in now a better place, making the world that we live in now heaven, instead of concentrating on our eternal reward and our eternal destiny, which is really the job of the Pope, isn't it?
I mean, I guess I didn't hate what the Pope said about usury, because I think it's important that to recognize that usury is a plague upon mankind. Pope Leo, according to this article, I'm going to link to it in the show notes, says Pope Leo the 14th has denounced the practice of usury as a grave sin that destroys lives, families, and societies, calling it a corruption of the human heart that exploits the vulnerable and undermines human dignity. Quote, "How far from God," the Pope exclaimed, "is the attitude of those who crush people until they become slaves. Usury is not merely an accounting issue. It's a grave sin that can destroy families, consume the mind and heart, and even lead people to despair or suicide," close quote. Man, I got to tell you, I don't know how it is in England, but in America, when I showed up to college, you have to go, you sign up for your class. You got to go to the bookstore to pay a small fortune to buy books for your classes. And then you're there to buy your books, and they hand you a credit card application on like day one. I know you have zero job, and I know you're going into debt for the rest of your life for these classes, but here, let's give you credit card debt to boot, and you can buy whatever you want. And the dumb people like me who didn't make good decisions as a young person got, neck deep in debt so fast, your head spins. Like, usury is a real problem. It's a real thing. I mean, we have to make our own choices, but at the same time, I think he's kind of right about that.
100%, and I'm completely behind you. It's a terrible thing that we have to put up with. So why didn't he mention it in Delixate at all, Joe? Right. Why didn't he mention it in his apostolic exhortation about the poor?
Because Francis wrote that one. He just signed it. That's all. Yeah.
He could have easily slotted something in, though. I mean, I don't understand where this comment come from. I think when we discussed it, me and you, the last time, this is what we were saying, isn't that's the real problem in the culture that we see at the moment. If you want to talk about the poor, this is the issue. So, yeah, I'm absolutely over the moon that he spoke about it in this venue, in this discussion that he had. But ultimately, why wasn't it in his apostolic exhortation? Doesn't make any sense.
No. Yeah. It doesn't make much sense, but there we are. That's what we're dealing with. And okay, so when we're kind of like what I was talking about the last segment with Israel. Like, if we're serious about trying to solve some problems, then let's be serious. I don't think we're serious. I think we pretend. I think we talk a lot and then don't actually do the things necessary to have the peaceful outcome that we're looking for. Similar here. If you're against usury, then maybe we should start at the Vatican Bank. Should we start there with some reforms? Because everybody who tries to reform that thing either gets dead, gets canceled, or something bad happens to them. Like, it's a routine that's been going on since after the Second World War. So it's like one thing to say it, it's quite another to do it. It feels like talk.
Yeah, they should model best practice, and they should do that in all of these ways, all of these various ways. Look at the talk about migrants is another thing that we often mention, isn't it? Where they've got rules at the Vatican where, you can't get into the Vatican without particular passes or whatever. And yet they're talking about open borders and supporting the bishops and all this kind of thing. So they really need to get their act straight. The Vatican Bank, as you and I know well, this absolute drama has been going on for years and years and years, and no one seems to be able to have the desire, really. Cardinal Pell seemed to have the desire, but of course then he died on the operating table. So we're in this position now where who's going to stand up and sort this out? And you kind of feel like before they start talking to and telling everyone else what they should be doing, they've got to get their own house in order first, haven't they?
Right. Yeah. Boy, the usury. There's a whole lot that can be discussed here about usury in particular. Maybe we'll continue on. But before we go to the break, because on the other side of the break, I want to ask you about Cardinal Eck. But we're going to be up against a break here in a moment. I do want to ask you about Prince Andrew, and going back to the royal family. With King Charles meeting Pope Leo this week, kind of a big deal. But then now Prince Andrew's getting all of his titles removed. Has that happened with Jeffrey Epstein? Finally, it's been years. I mean, his whole disastrous interview that he did, they made a movie about just the interview that Prince Andrew did. It was that bad. So, I mean, what did they have a fight, or what happened?
What, Charles and Andrew?
Yeah.
Did Charles and Andrew have a fight? Well, I should imagine that it's a bone of contention, and certainly some of the images that we've seen, Prince William seems extremely uncomfortable being in the same space as Andrew. Everything that I've read or heard about Andrew is that he's an absolutely vile individual, and that he's not very bright either. His career was ended, rather promptly because he couldn't drive a boat, or his Navy career. So the man has got very few redeeming features, and I think that he should be put in the deepest dungeon. Certainly, he doesn't seem to have a shred of remorse for the victims involved in all of this. And it's been demonstrated that even the things that he said in that interview with Emily Maitlis, which is now infamous, were lies. Yeah. That the things that he absolutely swore were true weren't true. So that I'm afraid the guy's got absolutely no integrity. Forget about taking away his Duke of, whatever it is title. He should have his prince. He shouldn't be referred to as a prince. He shouldn't have any, high titles or anything. I think he's a disgrace. But it makes me wonder what are the rest of them like? Like, why are we? It always bothers me, and I know it's a Catholic thing that we have monarchy. We think that God, it's a sacrament to some extent, and we, But I have to say, I personally, perhaps it's the Irishman in me, Joe. I really struggle with the idea that these people are better than the rest of us because they're ordained somehow.
We're seconds on the clock. I want to know here: do you see a time in the near future for the UK to be done with its royalty?
I hope not, in some respects, but I think we do need to, like the same with the papacy, we need to call these people to stand up to the office that they've been called to take. That's what we need to see them do the right thing, don't we?
Mark Koeniger in Canada swore his allegiance to the king over the weekend, so I find it very, very interesting from an outsider's, from a Yankees perspective, looking in and seeing, explain this to me. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But coming up after the break, I want to talk about Cardinal Eck, who paid a visit to Pope Leo. There seems to be a lot more pressure ramping up on Pope Leo to weigh in on the traditional Latin Mass persecution of faithful Catholics. Let's talk about that in 2 minutes from now. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Praise be to Jesus Christ. Welcome back to A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration. I'm your host, Joe McClain. It is great to be on with you. Praise be to God. Mark Lambert is here from CatholicUnscripted.com, CatholicUnscripted.com. Check him out. We're going to put a link to him as well. Great article on the seamless garment, by the way, CatholicUnscripted.com. Mark, welcome back to the show. We've been talking about King Charles meeting with the Pope this week. I think that's happening. But also, Pope Leo met with Cardinal Eck. Now, there's been some high-profile meetings with Pope Leo recently. Cardinal Sarah, of course. We've also seen some meetings with Cardinal Burke and others. Now Cardinal Eck joins the fray. What do you think this means? Because it seems to me like and I'm almost saying that there's a difference between what these same prelates did in the Francis pontificate versus what they seem to have changed their strategy a bit. In the Francis pontificate, we saw, the dubia. We saw a couple of dubia being issued and then being ignored and quietly answered, through other means to sort of oppose the dubia cardinals. Now it seems like there's an effort. I get the sense that these same prelates are thinking that they can reason with Leo. Somehow they can reason with him. So they meet with him. They try to plant a seed. They try to reason with him. I feel like they probably couldn't reason with Francis, but they think, at least in my mind, that they can reason with Leo. Do you see it that way? Has there been a strategy shift?
It definitely seems that way, doesn't it, Joe? And Leo does come across that the atmosphere has changed and that he is a bit more reasonable than Francis. I think the timing and the confirmation is very interesting contextually with this meeting because it occurred on October the 18th, which marked the first reported one-on-one between Eck and Pope Leo since Leo's election in May 2025. So it was a really busy day for the Pope. He had that public address to the National Anti-Usury Council and participants in the Jubilee of Roma, Sinti and travelling peoples. And it was interesting that there was no official Vatican transcript or summary, which suggests to me that it focused on internal church matters rather than public policy. So we have to look at the first meeting where Cardinal Eck was a little bit more open about what they spoke about. And obviously there was a plea for Pope Leo to restore unity by unambiguously proclaiming the truths of the faith on marriage, sexuality, social morality. And it seems likely that these topics would have been revisited because they're very prominent for his church at the moment. And we saw the bioethics and gender issues thing, which Eck has advocated for, really brought forward with the appointment in July by Pope Leo of Monsignor Ronald Cornelissen, who's protege, and he was made bishop of an unpronounceable place, Groningen Warden or something like that.
I'm glad you're trying and not me. That's great.
I'm doing my best. This guy, Cornelissen, was involved in a controversy where Eck dismissed a transgender employee, and his elevation, shortly after Pope Leo consulted the nuncio, really does suggest that there's an alignment on these matters between the two people. So you could really infer that the audience addressed these ethical challenges in the Dutch church, couldn't you?
You know, the other thing I'm thinking about right now is just the attack on traditional Catholics, especially here in the United States, but other parts of the church around the world as well. And Cardinal Roche this is another sea change, another strategy change. It seems like now they're trying to sell us Novus Ordo in Latin. No mention of Ad Orientem, but let's just assume they're going to throw Ad Orientem in there as like an extra bonus, just for us Catholics who want smells and bells. And they think that should be good enough. And we should stop our complaining, and we should stop, wanting more. Just be satisfied with the Latin Novus Ordo. Of course, trad Catholics don't want that, aren't interested in that, and aren't going to be satisfied with that. But why do you think they're so tone deaf as to think that would work?
It just strikes you as ignorance, doesn't it? If that's what they think, then they don't understand the argument even, do they?
Exactly.
Have any of them read Moral Pontificum? I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Hey, listen, it's okay though, Joe. If you're a Muslim, you can pray, you can worship Allah, no problem. They've got to set aside a special room for it. Yeah. You can't say the traditional Latin Mass, though, the Mass that was said by, the founder of Opus Dei or Padre Pio or, but you can't say that one. But it's okay if you want to pray to Allah, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah, at the Vatican, you can do that. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Do you think Cardinal Eck, Cardinal Sarah, Cardinal Burke, and others who are trying and to speak and be reasonable, as we said a minute ago, Leo, do you think that they will be successful? Do you think what are their chances of swaying him, encouraging him to take a decisive action in the debate that rages, well, I guess within the church on the traditional Latin Mass? I mean, do you think he can provide some means of respite for so many Catholics who are, I would argue and describe it as being abused by their bishops and being outcast?
Yeah, so would I. Yeah, and all we can do is really hope so, because it's just such a reasonable position, and we're not asking for anything that we haven't had. And what strikes me about it the most is the fact that this is a directive from the Vatican. In 2007, we had Summorum Pontificum, and these communities grew up around an instruction that was faithfully followed from the Vatican, from the Pope. And now the Vatican is saying we're going to dismantle all of that. The absolute hypocrisy and insanity of that this is our priority, just doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And if Pope Leo does want to restore unity, and he is about peace and bringing us all together, then you would have thought that this would be something that he would address immediately. But very worryingly, we've got these constant signals now around Supich and Durbin and, the seamless garment and all these issues, which make you think that perhaps he's being pressured. Obviously, I have no doubt that the Pope is being pressured by all different sides, but he seems to be formed more by these sort of ideas of Bernardine and Supich than the ideas of Benedict and what we would term orthodoxy. And that's
he just promoted
that
Supich.
really
he
worries.
Just gave him an honorary promotion at the Vatican. Like, what does that say?
Who?
It's got to say something. Supich.
Yeah.
He just gave him an honorary position with the Vatican City State after the Dick Durbin debacle. After, which is bizarre because on one hand, he says he doesn't want to weigh into American politics, but then he weighs in heavy. Dick Durbin, the senator, the pro-abortion, supposedly Catholic senator who's not allowed to receive communion in his own diocese because of it, came out and thanked the Pope for supporting him in the whole matter. Like, talk about mixed messages. And then he comes out with the seamless garment thing. Like, you're killing us. You're absolutely killing us here. This is not helpful. This is like, we're all having like cold sweat flashbacks to the Francis pontificate here.
Yeah, that's very much so. It really worries me. And it did, as you say, the thing about like promoting Supic didn't make any sense, because it seemed like Supic like dropped him in trouble, didn't it? Because immediately after, I think he came out in support of him, Dick Durbin relinquished the honour in any case and said he wasn't going to accept it. So who wins? Dick Durbin's the only one who wins out of all of that. The whole thing just looked absolutely ridiculous. And yet he's gone again and promoted Supic. We spent a lot of time in Chicago at Catholic Unscripted, and we've got a lot of really good friends. And the word was under Francis that Supic's star had lost some of its twinkle, and that he was just heading for retirement. But it looks like under Pope Leo, it's come alive again, which is really concerning, isn't it?
Isn't that every pontificate's got their guy? I guess for Francis, that was Theodore McCarrick. I guess for Leo, it's Supic, Blaise Supic. Let that sink in. Not good look. By the way, tomorrow on the team, we are going to have Kevin Wells back. He's going to be on the team tomorrow. Praise be to Jesus, and we'll see what else we get into. But we're going to go into the after show and continue this conversation with Mike Koeniger, Mark Lambert. If you're able to join us, we'd love to have you. And you get to weigh in with anything you want to talk about. All you got to do is be a part of that conversation on the live video feed at the stationofthecross.com/AC. God love you. God bless you. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning.
And we're in the after show, Joe.
Good morning, everybody. Praise be to God. Thanks for hanging out with us today. How was the weekend? Let me know. Lots of chat this morning in the chat boxes. Appreciate you guys being on the team today. Praise be to God in all things. Even Trad Jack Burton, all the way from sunny Scotland, is on the team today. Don't you what are you doing? Don't you have whiskey to drink? Are you that bored in Scotland? We're gonna have to get you a better tour guide or something. I'm not sure what's going on there, but hopefully you'll be on the team with us. I think Mike Koeniger's here. Praise be to Jesus. Good to see you guys. I see Flying Tigers. Rob, good morning to you. And I think Mike's going to bend and ship here at 8:45, by the way. So he's going to be out soon. Flying Tigers, good morning to you. The weekend rocked. We had a fall festival at our parish over the weekend. So Saturday was spent doing that. It was kind of warm. I'm going to be honest with you. Good grief, Texas, October, still 90 degrees plus. What in the world? I need to move back to New Hampshire where it's beautiful all the time. 100% of the time, every year. Susie from Down Under, good morning to you. Christine OFS, thanks for being on the team today. Praise be to God. David John, you are amazing from iCatholic Mobile. Really appreciate you. Cajun Mountain Man, good morning to you. There's no mountains in Cajun country. So are you a Cajun displaced to the mountains? Are you a Cajun who just has wishful thinking and the swamp is your mountain? Exactly. You got to explain that to me. There's not even a hill in southern Louisiana. It's as flat as it comes. So I don't understand the Cajun Mountain Man. You have to tell me more about that.
Joe, unless he's an Arcadian and lives in Maine, which is where Cajun come from.
New Brunswick. They come from even further. They're from Canada.
But meaning Arcadians in Canada who migrated to Maine instead of Louisiana.
Okay.
Just a thought.
It's possible. It's possible. He says, I'm from Louisiana, moved to Colorado. There we go. That answers that mystery.
There you go.
That makes more sense to me. Praise be to Colorado, beautiful country, run by absolute crazy people, but beautiful country. I'd like to spend some more time in Colorado, actually. Trad or Brooks?
Probably not so much outside of Boulder and Denver, though. Probably
Gorgeous
regular
place.
folk.
Colorado. Trad Brooks, good morning to you, says one of our music stations here in Buffalo. You're in Buffalo? I thought you were in Virginia. 102.5 is already playing Christmas music. Wow. It starts early, doesn't it? Already playing Christmas music. Of course, we're Catholics, so we don't play Christmas music until Christmas, right? No Christmas
Sunset,
music outside
Christmas Eve.
Yeah. I mean, so hold the line, everybody. Hold the line. Don't do it. No Christmas music. Polachicho, mi amigo. Good morning to you. Make Advent great again. Guaguenza, James 16897, Robert DeBruce, Silent Fire. Good morning to you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for being on the team. Praise be to Jesus. Good to see everybody here. I see Junior Barr from West Texas. You're going to be in Denver. I'm jealous. Actually, I'm not. Denver, I got stuck in a traffic jam in Denver. I'm not that. Better you than me, actually. There's a lot of beautiful places in Colorado. I don't think Denver is actually one of them. But hopefully you'll have a great time. Angelique, good morning to you. Praise be to God. Patty, I see Don Paddock here as well. Thanks for being on the team. Hold, says Damon. Yeah, I like your meme. Awesome. What else was on the weekend? Did you go camping this weekend, Mike?
No, we worked on the house. We were going camping the week of November 5th. And that's become a big thing for us to get away from remodeling homes and work and all of that. Camping's a big part of our lives all of a sudden, which is a good thing, right? And I know you do a lot of camping as well, Joe.
I love camping. I absolutely love it. Outdoor camping, hiking, fishing, hunting, all of that stuff. Absolutely love it. It was fun to do. Actually, part of the pilgrimage was camping. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, Joe, I don't sleep on the ground and I don't have a nylon tent. I have a canvas tent and I sleep on a mattress on a Coleman cot.
Bougie. So bougie. Look at you go. I tell you,
I'm too old to be on the ground.
In all disclosure, I also don't sleep on the ground. I have an air mattress. I just pump up and just sleep and I don't see the point to sleeping on the ground anymore. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
If you can enjoy it, especially like even when I was doing the pilgrimage, I had the mat, but my hips were in such a bad way on that after the first 26 miles that like just the slightest pressure, even with the mat, was like sheer agony. It was pain. I didn't get a lot of sleep that night. Hey, the Rad Trad Dad Show. Good morning to you from the Diocese of sunny Kansas City, St. Joseph, ICKP, Deus Vault. Good to have you on the team today. Truth, Life, and Fishing regarding Lorenzo Milano. I'm praying naively, maybe, but I'm praying that Leo simply didn't look into the matter, didn't do his homework, didn't care to look into the receipts. Can you pray for past? What does that mean? Can you pay for past? Or can you pray for past? I'm not 100% sure. You're going to have to reword that.
So I pray for that.
But that's what I said. I said that in my conversation Friday with Dr. Anthony Stein. So I'm assuming you're quoting me when I said that. And the video that I put out on my interview with Dr. Anthony Stein, it was my hope and prayer, maybe naively, that Leo wasn't aware of the actual scandalous history of this priest. Although the chances of that actually being true, I would say, are very slim to none. But one can pray. One can hope. Flying Tigers. We need a King Baldwin IV to confront Islam. Yeah, I go back to this. This is still my biggest issue with the whole Israel debacle. England giving up the Holy Land. Like, it's one thing to conquer the Holy Land and then say to the world's Jewry, hey, listen, we own it, we control it, you're allowed to live here, in peace. We're going to ensure that your neighbors don't get to kill you. We're also going to ensure that you don't get to kill your neighbors. Like, it's a two-way road. Like, and just maintain custody and control, the governance of it. I think it was a mistake to allow them to govern themselves. We've seen nothing but trouble ever since. But Joe, their enemies hate them and kill them. They have to defend themselves. Agreed, they have to defend themselves. I don't disagree. They have to defend themselves. But there's a lot of other things that are extracurricular activities that are going on that is well beyond that. Well beyond that. And it's naive to suggest otherwise, in my opinion. What is the prayer then, Joe? What are the words? You want to know the actual words of my prayer? Please, Lord, enlighten Pope Leo with the truth, and give him the courage to act accordingly. I don't know what he knows or doesn't know. I can't know what Leo's mind is on that particular issue. Was he aware of the scandalous history of that guy and embraced it? If so, that's incredibly scandalous. Was he not aware? And then he, mentions this guy because of his ignorance. Well, it's a far less crime in that regard, because I hate to tell you, but people who put themselves out there publicly, even at my humble tiny little level, like, I say things I'm not fully aware of. Like, and I learned the hard way. Oh man, Darn it. I wish I'd have known that when I said it. Like that's definitely true at my little level. Imagine being the Pope. I mean, it would be 10 times worse. So, I pray that it was that case. I pray it was that scenario and not a scenario of he knew, he was aware of, and still called the guy the prophet of Tuscany. Because that's infinitely worse, in my opinion, and inexcusable. So, but I don't know. God hasn't given me the ability to read his heart. So it is what it is. Cat Cans, you can literally pray for things that already happened. Time is nothing for God to traverse. Or did I miss the boat completely? Is that really the sense of the conversation? Is it, can you pray for things that have already happened? Maybe I misread the question and I went down I chose the wrong path. The answer is you can't actually change God's mind, but you can align your will to God, and you could pray for what God wants. What does God want? The salvation of all souls. He wants us to be sacrificial and to choose him over all things. And he wants us to want the absolute best for other people. And when we align our will to God's will along those lines, then of course we get what we want. Michael Thomas, Saint Bartolo Longo, ora pro nobis, yea and amen. How many people raise your hand if you love Bartolo Longo? I'm a big fan of Bartolo Longo. Etna Murphy, good morning to you. Jimmy Aiken talks about that in a very interesting way, says Cat Cans. The movie Kingdom of God is awesome. Rob, did you fall, hit your head or something? The Kingdom of God is a horrible film. What are you talking about, Rob? Mike, have you seen The Kingdom of God?
I think I started and didn't get beyond the first 10, 15 minutes.
It's got, what's his name in it? Liam Neeson. And it's got who was the elf?
Oh,
who's the elf from Lord of the Rings? What's his name?
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
John, what's his name? Son. The guy
elf
from the Addams Family's kid.
The archer. The archer.
Oh,
what was his name? Why can't the two old guys trying to remember his name? Mike Bottino. Do you remember?
No.
Lord of the Rings.
I remember it.
Come on.
Elf.
No, not Elf.
Skywalker.
Elf.
I don't know.
No, stop it. I can't remember his name either. Anyway, but I did not love. Thank you, Memento. You are amazing. Finally, someone with some Monday sense here. Orlando Bloom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Flying Tiger said Ed Norton played King Baldwin IV in The Mask too. I hated that movie. It was a terrible revisionist history, nonsensical movie. I wanted to like it. I wanted to love it, but no, I hated it. It was terrible. It was a waste of good money, good Hollywood money. They could have done a lot better. As your Holy Roman Emperor, I will have the movie stricken from the record. It will not exist anymore. Well, we'll just do another one. We'll start over. Sean Austin, no, it was Orlando Bloom. Sean Austin wasn't an elf. He was a hobbit in The Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Love that film. I don't know. How can you love that film? That film was such revisionist history. No, the idea was good. It was just done terribly. This is a thing. Someone's got to do it right. So we're going to force Mel Gibson to do it. It's going to be his job. No one else can really do it besides Mel. Just Mel. So Mel's going to have to do it. No more terrible films, Mel. You hear? Are you listening? No more Paybacks. No more Santa Claus films. No more nonsensical junk. It's time to make epic films right and good again. So he's going to have to make it all over. Wasn't it The Kingdom of Heaven? Yeah, I think so. It was The Kingdom of Heaven, right? That's the name of the film. Clayton Lee, good morning to you. From Bob Spendel's here from Orlando, Florida. Honey Bee is here. Good morning. Jackson Pickney is back. Good morning to you. Glad to have you guys on the team today. Angie, good morning, Angie. No, UK didn't conquer the Holy Land. It was handed off after War II. Well, actually, it wasn't a conquering. It was the England defeated the Ottoman Empire. This is the whole. It wasn't It was World War I. Lawrence of Arabia helped in that campaign, and England took Jerusalem. They took the Holy Land by defeating the Ottoman Empire. So it wasn't a conquering as much as a defeat of the Ottoman Empire. And then they managed the Holy Land until after the Second War, in which case they then handed it off to what became the State of Israel. But in my humble opinion, of course, my opinion and a nickel doesn't get you very far, but in my humble opinion, they should have never given governance of the Holy Land over. It should have been retained by Christendom, even if Christendom was a Protestant nation like England is. It would have been better than what we have today. What we have today is nothing but death and destruction and manipulation and politics. What we could have had, it was hopefully something a lot better. It was possible, but even under England, it's a gamble. I mean, look what they did to Nigeria, too. Damon says, yes, Orlando Bloom played Legolas. That's why I couldn't remember any of these things today. Sean Astin played Hobbit Samwise and is the adoptive son of John Astin, A-S-T-I-N? Astin, who played Gomez. Oh, really? He's the adopted son? I never knew that. You're blowing my mind. Wow.
John Astin's an interesting man and was a very accomplished actor well beyond Gomez. And in fact, if you watch the show Night Court, he had a recurring role in Night Court too, where he played the judge's dad. So, yeah, I'm a John Astin fan.
I remember Night Court. I enjoyed Night Court. That was great. Great show. Man, I didn't know they were at all related. No kidding. Chesty Semper Fi, brother. Good morning to you. We should get you to sing the Marine Corps hymn sometime, Chesty. Maybe you can record yourself singing that, send it in, we'll play it, or maybe get you on the line or something. That'd be kind of fun to do. We should do that November 10th. When is the Coast Guard's birthday, by the way?
August 4th.
And when was the Coast Guard founded?
Depends on which part you talk about. If you talk the lighthouse service, mid-1700s. If you talk about the revenue cutter service, 1790. If you talk about the surf rescue, the Coast Guard is an amalgam of a bunch of different military branches. So, what was your point?
Okay, so you got to pick one. When is the birthday of the Coast Guard? So what? Like there has to be nailed down. You got to celebrate a birthday.
1750s with the founding of the lighthouse service.
Is that just because you're trying to outdo the Marine Corps?
I don't have to try to outdo the Marine Corps. I belong to the superior service.
Right. Okay. Gus, good morning to you. Yesterday I saw the story.
And by the way, I love the Marine Corps. It's only for picking on Joe that I say such things.
Back in 1775, that's when we were born. Praise be to Jesus.
Yeah,
good morning, says Gus.
You guys are playing fast and loose with the facts. There was no Marine Corps for multiple decades, and you know that.
That's not true. 1775, Tun Tavern, November 10th.
Agreed.
It's a fact of history. Okay,
Agreed. Listen.
Back in 1775, my Marine Corps came alive. We sang it. We did the whole cadence thing as we ran.
Has to be true.
Has to be true. Facts. These are facts. Well before AI was ever created, by the way. We sang those beautiful hymns. Gus says, yesterday I saw the story on LifeSite of a possible king for France. Thought about the obscure prophecy about a coming French king by Julie Marie Jehani, as written in the book by Javier Reyes, Aral, which we haven't spoke to in a very long time. Could it be coming true? Well, I mean, they know who the descendants are, but his chances of actually becoming king there, like the people of France wanting a king, is like slim to none. It's like zero chance. It would take a catastrophic apocalyptic event in order for a king like that to rise. So I'm going to say that if the prophecy is true, it would take the prophecy before it would become true. If that makes sense. I mean, it's like Mark and I were talking about this morning with King Charles. I mean, nobody takes him serious. Their own citizens aren't serious about the monarchy. It's like they keep the monarch around, but for what exactly? It's like holding on to. It's like I guess it's like me holding on to my size 32 jeans back when I could fit into them, and like I'd hold them around like, see, that was the good old days. Those were the golden era days back in those days. 32
Dude,
inch
I weigh
jeans.
$165. I can't put 32s on.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like it's just wishful thinking. It's like time's gone by, but I'm not serious about losing weight to get back into the 32, 32-inch waist jeans. I'm not like, it's just I keep them around to like remind me of what it used to be like back in the good old days.
Can you get your right leg into those jeans?
No, I mean, are you kidding me? Absolutely not. I did wear my wedding kilt is what I wore on the pilgrimage, though. That's because when I was married, I weighed a lot more than I do now. So it's like,
yeah, I was going to say, Joe, you probably had to use safety pins to keep it on.
I folded it. I make a big fold and I make it look like another pleat. So I hid it in the fold. It was great. But that thing is real wool from Scotland and it weighs 100 pounds. I mean, it's so heavy. I only wore it for one of the 2 days. I got to get another kilt that's a little lighter. Hey, Chesty says, Joe, if the Army and the Navy ever looked on heaven's scene, they will find the streets are guarded by the United States
Marines.
Semper
of
Fi.
course.
Semper Fi, hoorah. You wear 34s, Douglas. Well, college whiz, pal. Excusez-moi. 34s. That's pretty good. Glamour says you wore a skirt. It's a kilt.
Yes, he did. Most Marines do.
It's not a skirt. It's a kilt. I had shorts on.
Let me correct that for you. It doesn't matter the word you use. It looks like a skirt. It's a skirt.
It's not a skirt.
It's not a tuma.
It's actually technically it's half of a kilt. Because really what you would have worn was a much longer piece of wool with no pleats in it. You would have created your own pleats every time. You'd lay on the ground and you wrap it around your body and put your belt on and then you stand up and you'd have this giant other piece that would come over. It was what you wore against the cold and the wet. It would be your sleeping bag if you're out, taking care of the coos. You'd wear it as your sleeping bag. It'd be like an all-in-one survival kit. It's your blanket, it's your sleeping bag, it's your coat, it's your rain jacket, it's everything all in one. It's
what the modern military calls the whoopee, right? So basically you have your whoopee with you on your walk.
Now
did you bring your teddy bear too?
We don't bring no teddy bears. I did have a teddy bear as a kid though. I had a bear that had one eyeball. The other one was
an elephant.
Yeah. Mine was called Fozzie the Bear. That was mine. Good time.
So, Marine history test, which came first, the halls of Montezuma or the shores of Tripoli?
Okay, Montezuma, that is the battle with Mexico.
Right. So that's second, right?
Tripoli is that's where Ambassador Stevens was killed.
That's the Barbary Pirates, right?
The Barbary Pirates,
so that would have been the Jefferson administration. So that would be first.
That would be first. Yeah.
Montezuma would be what? Polk?
Taft.
I'm
gonna say Taft.
Taft.
I don't know.
20th century?
I have to look it up. I gotta actually look it up.
No cheating with Google.
I'm guessing. Catholic chiropractor. Good morning to you.
Thanks for hanging out. The Mexican-American War, by the way.
That's what I said. I said the war with Mexico.
Taft was in the 20th century, Joe. He's between Roosevelt and
Taft. No, Taft was around for the Cristeros.
Right.
You're right about that. Yeah. He was around for the Cristeros. So who was president during the Mexican-American War?
That's why I was guessing Polk.
I don't think it's Polk, though.
Let me look.
Google it. Google. Just cheat. We're old. We don't need to memorize all these things. U.S. Navy corpsmen have you all beat. That's not true, actually. U.S. Navy corpsmen hang out with Marines for a reason, because they want to be cool. That's why they're there, because they know that they had made the mistake of joining the Navy, and they're trying to make up for that mistake by hanging out with the Marines.
Joe, you got to admit the corpsmen are a special breed of Navy. They're like the SEALs, and they are what make the Marine Corps cool.
No, they
And I
are
don't
what
say that
patched
to
the
be
Marine Corps
discouraging.
up when they get shot full of bullets that they were asked to charge into. Hey, Janice reminds us that the Army was established June 14th, 1775. Yeah, great Army that was, huh?
That was the
Wow.
Continental Army, and
Yeah,
that doesn't count.
That worked out great, didn't it? We saved the Marines from themselves. Yay and amen. Are you asking God to, he wants truth, life, and vision really wants me to, you're asking me the wrong question. That's the problem, truth, life, and vision. Are you asking God to make Leo ignorant in his statement about Milano? No, I'm not asking God to make anybody ignorant, although God could do that. Is that not what God did when he hardened Pharaoh's heart multiple times? I mean, I'm gonna saying it's an adjacent thing. What I'm saying is I pray that he's acting naively, because that is better than the opposite of him acting intentionally. That's my prayer. My prayer is hope that Leo just didn't know better, because that would be the best possible outcome in this terrible situation. Because the reality is, if he knew, it's far more scandalous, and God help him. That's my issue. So it's called a turn of speech, a phrase. That's all.
By the way,
Murphy.
Joe, quick check on the old geezer. Once again, outshone the history student of the year. It was James K. Polk. So you've been outdone
Mexican
by
American
a geezer
War Polk.
Marine.
Look at that. Look at that. Paul was on the board for Triple E anyway, as being the older of the two. Good morning from Nicole. Good morning to you. Says good morning from our dedicated little FB group over here. Yay and amen. Praise be to God. Glad you're on the team today. Yeah, we're dealing with very interesting questions today, history questions about the United States Marine Corps, because obviously the star of American military in history is the Marine Corps. All other stars fall from that one, we're going to argue. So we're having a history
even
test
the special forces whose roots are actually in the French War prior to the American Revolution.
You talking about Rogers Rangers?
Yes, Army Special Forces trace their lineage back to Rogers Rangers, so they're older than the Marine Corps.
The Rogers Rangers are yes, absolutely. But the Marines
the point
themselves,
being, it's
American Marines. First of all, were the first ones came from a bar. Let that just sink in. Just like take that in for a
Rogers
second.
Rangers.
How apropos is it that Marines are like, yeah, man, I'll do it. Where do I sign? It's a great idea. So I'm just signing right here. Like that really explains a lot of things. But the Marines themselves, that's not new. Marines have been around for centuries and centuries in the English navies and the French navies and all this other stuff. This is the American version of that. Started in 1775 as things were heating up with England, of course. But the Marines had been around and have certainly had a lot of experience in the American colonies, even prior to November 10th, 1775.
All right, Joe,
Tavern in Philly,
the
which
question.
I've never been to.
Here's your Marine Corps question from the Coastie. Why do Marine officers have the embroidery on the top of their hat?
Oh, this is easy. This is super easy. So they don't get shot by their own snipers.
No.
Yes.
No.
100%. Yes,
absolutely
100%.
Not.
Nope. It's 100% true. Marines, Chesty, am I right or am I right?
No, you're wrong.
Officers
and I'm going to tell you why you're wrong.
They have the cross on the top of their head so that their snipers can identify who's who.
No, the reason why they have it 100%. On top of their head is so that when the fighting was going on the decks of the ship, the people up in the mast could direct the officer and knew who the officer was from the up in the mast of the ship.
That's what I said. So our snipers could identify the officers. I said that.
Goodness gracious, Joe.
Now you're just being the pedantics here with on the deck of the ship, blah, blah, coasties. That's all they care about is the deck of the ship. You're like, mop it here, mop it there. Like
swab it there, swab it here.
I don't know.
Once again, Jarhead, get your terminology right.
Christine says, Joe, Pope's planning stopped. Won't be long before no one says maybe the Pope didn't know. I feel it in the air. Yeah, we're
Joe,
on the cusp
I do have to
again.
say something. Kevlar Catholic, no member of any other branch is jealous of the Air Force. We just want your stuff.
That's right. Yeah, that's so true. Nobody's jealous of the chair force. You just have cooler things than we do. That's all it is. Better food.
We'll be happy to
better
take your
transportation, better housing, better everything,
better clubs.
Just better clubs.
They call their barracks dormitories.
Oh boy, it's so funny. Even in Air Force, when I went to Air Force boot camp, and they have TIs, they have like all of their training instructors. They don't do any leg exercises, just lats. So they're like big V-shaped men with tiny little waists and tiny little toothpick legs and huge V-shaped lats. They're just like they walk around like this all day with their Smokey the Bears. And their dorms, there's no double-decker like racks. You know how like in every other branch you got like a guy on the bottom rack and a guy on the top of the rack. Not in the chair force. The chair force gets their own bed, okay, with their own little locker. It's a big locker too. There's lots of stuff.
And the maid comes in and makes their bed for them in the morning.
You don't want to have to look up and have to look at the guy's bed above you. So like, good grief. Man, the chair force, you're killing me. Kevin says Air Force are clearly oldest, tracing roots to St. Michael casting out Satan.
That's a good line, but I'm pretty sure the coasties date back to the firmament and the water. So.
on the fourth day, did God create the coasties? I'm sure of that. I am jealous, Damon. I'm jealous of the food. The food in the chair force is way better. It's like, I don't know why does our government love them more than others? I haven't the slightest clue. I don't know, but they always get the best of everything. Cajun Mountain Man says Pope-splaining only worked when the Pope spoke Italian. We can understand him now. No need for their gaslighting.
Hey, listen, I knew the gig was up when he pointed Blaze Supich. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's the transitional pope we were promised.
Transition to what, though?
Well, that was Trad Jack Burton's theory that he was going to be more moderate than.
And I pray he's right. I want better to come, so let's pray for better. But man, yikes! What are we doing? Marine history test. Which came first? We already did that one. We said it was Tripoli, not Montezuma. When I think of Polk, says Damon, I think of Polk High and a certain man who scored 4 touchdowns in a single game. Polk High at Polk High.
Awful sitcom.
I thought you were saying that Polk got high. That's what I thought you were trying to say. I had to reread that for a second. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that were true. It wouldn't catch me off guard or anything. I could see him probably with a snuff box in the White House having a good old time. Did we all agree that the Kingdom of Heaven is a terrible film? I really hope we all agree to that. By the way, I got a great book over the weekend, The Cristero Counter-Revolution and the Battle for the Soul of Mexico. I'm loving it.
Peter Kwaszewski's publishing house published that book.
Right. And then we're going to be interviewing the priest who wrote it, Father Javier Oliveira Ravasi. I don't know how to say his name correctly. I'll figure it out before the interview. But great book so far. I'm really enjoying it. He talks about how the spirit of communism began not with Freemasons, not with the usual suspects, but with 2 priests.
Really?
The spirit of communism that infected Mexico, that would go on to become a torch, a fire, a ravening fire would be started through 2 clergy members. It's terrible to think about. And then, of course, Freemasonry plays a significant role in the fall of Mexico down to our time today. So, like the first anti-clerical laws and all that, it's giving me the history, the back lesson right now. It's terrible. Jake, what is going on in Scotland? What are you doing today that you're hanging out and like you're not like caber tossing? No sheep tossing
gazing
today.
Longingly into his bride's eyes and doing like important stuff.
Like whiskey tasting at the minimum. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you're in Scotland. Exactly what is on the agenda today. I'm going to need a recap of this. because something
He should
just
be on
doesn't
like
seem
his
to be
fifth
right.
or sixth distillery for the day.
Don't do that. Stop it. Come on, moderation. Some moderation.
A little bit, but it's his honeymoon, Joe. After this,
It's all downhill. Is that what you're
it's all
going to say?
done.
No, it's all downhill. It's all done from here. Yikes. Oh, boy. What do you mean? Scotland is not boring. Scotland's amazing. What are you talking about? Scotland is absolutely mind-blowingly amazing. Someday I'll get to go there. Praise be to God. Deborah Pena. We need more bishops like Bishop Strickland. Did you read his latest statement? Yeah, it's a doozy, that latest one. He told me, I saw him last weekend. I stopped by Tyler, Texas on my way back from the pilgrimage in Oklahoma. And he was like, wait till you see the one coming out this week. He goes, it's a big one. It's a doozy.
Did he give you, I'm sure he was empathetic with your blistered feet. Bishop Strickland being a good man, and I'm not being funny. I'm being dead serious.
Actually, he teased me a little bit, and he
we
went to mass with him, and he in his homily he mentioned my sore feet because he was saying that we need to be. He was saying because the gospel we need to be thankful in all things, in all times, in all circumstances. We must be thankful, and and I was complaining about my feet being bad, and he sort of like used my feet as the teachable moment, like even with sore feet, you have to be thankful. I'm like, gee, thanks, Bishop. I'm just going to leave my knife sitting right here in my chest in case you need it again. You just be right here waiting for you. It's twisted even further.
I pondered on your trip, your pilgrimage after the show last week. And I'm sure there were people who were walking that pilgrimage with the pebble in their shoe.
Oh, I'm sure. 100%. You're probably right.
Those are some tough people, man, because those little pebbles start to hurt after the first mile.
And those Oklahoma gravel roads are serious. Like, they're no joke. They're horrible. They're like craggy rocks right under your feet, just piercing through. I swear I felt like a rock go through my boot into my foot. It hurt so bad. Janice says
there were people
it.
walked it barefoot, right?
Many walked it barefoot.
Wow.
Shaming me the whole way, just looking at me like, what's your problem? You got boots
Any
on.
in our age group, Joe?
Oh, yeah. There are people who will
Barefoot.
no, none. As far as I know. I don't remember any barefooters that are our age. I don't remember.
Yeah, I was just wondering because if they were in our age group barefoot, they're tough.
Next year. Me and you, Mike. Next year, me and you, pal. Let's go barefoot the whole way. What do you say? Just to prove that we can just like, get off my lawn, you whippersnappers.
With our walkers.
That's right. Yes. Double dog dare me. I probably would do it with a walker too.
I'm still interested in the one you were talking about in New Hampshire.
Yeah, the climbing the mountains there, White Mountains for 3 days. I don't know. My heart was broken at the pilgrimage. I'm like, I can't even get through this. What makes me think I'm going to get through that? Like, I'm a loser.
First off, you do it over 3 days. You don't do 26 miles the first day. You do like 10.
Yeah, right. We were doing 10 at a pop, like you do 7, 8, 10 miles at a pop, It was pretty aggressive. Janice says, that's it. I'm calling Celine. Trad Jake should be paying attention to her on the honeymoon. See what I'm saying? You see what you got? You're getting yourself into some trouble here, Jake. So what is Celine up to right now? That's the next question. What is she doing as you're chatting and hanging out with
Sitting
us?
there watching her husband on his phone.
Dang. Caleb the mechanic is back. The best response this last week came from the Papa Stronce Monastery. The Redemptress started a scorched earth campaign on synodality. Yeah, I saw that. Napoleon, good morning to you. It would ruin your pedicure. Well, you wouldn't want your pedicure to be ruined. Yikes. Beverly Hamilton, Caleb, yes. Can't say more, but affected the same bishop. I'm not sure what you're referring to on that one. I put out that video of my footage of the pilgrimage, and I wrote that poem, and like nobody believed I actually wrote it. They all were like, seriously, did you use ChatGPT for that? I'm like, no, like I wrote that. Like, what? Why does nobody think I have talent? That's my biggest question of the day. Like, am I the only one in the room who thinks I have some talent? Apparently, I am.
Yes.
Because everyone else is just like assumes that I'm a talentless hack. And I'm not sure why. But who was the... Orlando Bloom was not the Riddler. Did Gomez play? Gomez played the Riddler in Batman. The guy who played Gomez.
Yes, he did. He's one of
played
them.
the Riddler in Batman. Boy, that goes
John
way
Aston.
back. I used to watch those reruns back in the day when I was a kid.
They're harmless fun.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, they're silly, and you're just silly, really. But
That's
harmless
what
fun.
you expect, though, right?
Men in tights. That's all it really amounts to is men in tights. Magnificat is on the team. Up early, are you? Praise be to God. Good to see you out of bed this early. Joey, good morning to you. Jackson Pickney says, did the Nicene or Apostles' Creed ever start with "We believe"? Google it. You'll see it for yourself. I'm very happy. I was very pleased that I got to visit Turkey for the first time in my life, the year that we were celebrating the anniversary of the Nicene Creed. It was pretty amazing to me. Jake is doing better on his honeymoon than I did, says James. I remodeled my mother-in-law's bathroom. For your honeymoon? That's not a honeymoon. So are you saying, James, that you didn't take a honeymoon? Michelle and I, we were gifted a weekend at Loon Mountain. Her boss owned like a condo at Loon Mountain, or maybe at like a timeshare even. I forget. I think they might have owned it. And we were able to go hang out at Loon Mountain for the weekend. That was our honeymoon. And then we saved up and borrowed some money, and we went to Alaska 2 years later. And we spent 2 weeks in Alaska, and that was sort of our delayed honeymoon. Did you do a honeymoon, Mike?
We took 3 weeks. We spent the first week. I know we went to Disney back then for a few days. Then we went to the beach out in the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and then we finished touring the mountains and visiting wineries. So it was actually done on the cheap. So that's how we pulled it off. But yeah, I remember it. I remember it well. It was a really great honeymoon.
Oh man, poor James didn't go anywhere, but was already in Romania by that time. Kevlar says our honeymoon was a few days in North Conway, New Hampshire. Oh boy, North Conway is a beautiful place.
That's pretty.
Gorgeous place. There was I can't remember the name of the restaurant though. There's a restaurant in North Conway that Michelle and I used to go eat at all the time. I want to say it's something like Moose Tracks, something along those lines. And it's like this piney wood look, rustic restaurant with antlers for chandeliers and such. And it would have this beautiful view of the mountains there in North Conway. It's very lovely. The train station in North Conway is epic and old school too. It's really awesome. Every time we were there last year. In fact, we stopped through North Conway. It's such a beautiful place. Celine is Canadian, not anymore. She is now full-blooded American. She's American now. You're bringing her across the border when she gets back. Melissa says, my husband and I went to Aruba for our honeymoon. 10 days. Aruba, Jamaica. Oh, isn't that how that song goes?
Yep. By the way, I was in North Conway in August.
Were you?
Yes. And they have a fountain in the middle of town, and our little boy was running around in the fountain having a grand old time.
Good.
And you're right, awesome. The train station's pretty incredible there, and the downtown area is lovely.
It is. It's a great little town. Wonderful little town. Not far from the Maine border, by the way. Not far. Phoebe says Tom Selleck would have did that pilgrimage barefoot. Probably. The Quigley Down Under definitely would have done it. 100%, no questions asked. But I'm not the man that he is, unfortunately, as I've proven to myself. Your last honeymoon was in Maui, says Douglas. Maui. I've been to Maui once. Our honeymoon was in Galveston. We were broke. I feel bad for you. That's pretty bad. When you have to go to Galveston for your honeymoon, you are definitely broke. It's the beach. Ish. Kinda. Ish. Not really. It's not really a great one. You might as well have just used gas money to get to South Padre. That would have been better. South Padre is better than Galveston.
I like South Padre.
Galveston's a mess. At least at South Padre, you can camp on the beach, keeping your expenses even, down further. It'd be better. It would have been a better option all the way around. Let's see. Been to Sorrento and all of Amalfi. That's a pretty nice place to be. Cigar cause of the insulation of the climate. What are we? They're having side conversations about cigars. Apparently, we went to English Lakes and fish and chips. Alberto says you went to the English Lakes. Now that's how far north of London is the English Lake District? I mean, that's like a day trip. Or did you like get a cabin or like a place to stay up there? It must have been nice though. I hear it's nice, the English Lake District. Amalfi Coast is for the rich folk, that's for sure. We honeymoon in Door County and Traverse County. Door County. Where is that, Mac?
It's Ireland.
Traverse County. Is that Ireland?
I think that's Ireland.
I've only flown over it. I've never been there. Someday. Jake's talking about his family name here. We went to Niagara Falls, says Jane. Both sides. Also Toronto to see the cousins. That's good. Niagara Falls is amazing. It's epic. And I took my kids and we also had, what's his name with us? Why can't I remember all of a sudden? Jordan Pacheco. Thank you. My guardian angel coming for the rescue. My kids and I were up in New York. Jordan Pacheco was there for the conference. And so all of us got on the boat, the Niagara Falls boat that takes you you pretty much put you in the mix. It's incredible how much water is coming down into that fall. It's an amazing experience. That was a lot of fun to do. I'd definitely do that again. I highly recommend it. I've never been on the Canadian side of the Niagara Falls though. They definitely win the prize when it comes to getting the view, right? They get the better view than we do.
Yep.
And as your Holy Roman Emperor, I would reverse that, obviously. I would not. I mean, how can we allow Canadians
we flip it? How would you do that, Emperor?
Well, I found out
we actually own the view, though, guys. We own it. I mean, it's on our side.
Yeah, you also turn them off whenever you want. Okay, which is I'm sorry, what? This thing is fake. The whole thing is fake. It's a big tourist trap. They turn the falls off and on. I think they turn them off at night when they go home from work, and they turn them on again in the morning. The whole thing is one big shenanigan. It's a sham. They're just taking our money. That's all it is. So if they can do that, then we can flip them around so that we get the better view.
Producer Mike, how do we own the view?
I mean, it's on our side. It's on our side, right? That
do we charge tax?
The good side is on our side. They're just looking at it. It's on our side.
Yeah, it's ours.
Meaning what they're looking at belongs to us.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
We could change it if we want.
Right. Exactly. If it's ours, then we should flip it around so that we get the better view because it's ours. So as your Holy Roman Emperor, I would make sure of that. Door County is Wisconsin, not Ireland. Okay. Where's Traverse County then? The Canadian side is amazing, says Melissa. I love the Niagara Falls. It's really amazing. It is it's a pretty interesting place to go. The only downside though is you're going to get that old earth evolutionary nonsensical stuff crammed down your throat the whole time.
All right,
842 billion years ago. I'm not up for that. Honeymoon Skyline Drive did the tour of the Skyline Caverns.
Oh, yeah.
Only two on the tour, February of 1969. Wow. Skyline Drive. That's the Blue Ridge.
Yep.
That's the beautiful Shenandoah Valley of Virginia.
It's a little over 100 miles long and it's stunning. And last time I drove that was Easter, not 24. Easter Sunday. That was our drive.
It's gorgeous, Skyline Drive. On the way home from New York last year, I did a piece of the sky. I did like a 30-mile piece of the Skyline Drive. Almost hit an 8-point buck up on the ridge.
Lots of bears, lots of deer.
I promise to try harder next time, though. Man, we were that close to putting meat in the freezer. Best hunting I'll do all year.
All right, Joe, I have to go. So
we'll see you, brother.
I'm going to leave the show in your very qualified and talented hands.
There you go.
Being a Marine.
Number 5.
See ya.
Have a great day. We'll see you next week.
You too.
Joe is a young earth believer. I am a young earther. I'm a young earth creationist. That's true. Guess only. Midwesterners only know about Door County, Nantucket of the Midwest, and Traverse City, and the cherry capital of the world. Yeah, I've never been. I've been to Wisconsin a few times, maybe 3 times now, 4 times. I forget, 3 or 4 times, but I've never been to Door County or Traverse City. I didn't think I could like him anymore until now, huh? The Blue Ridge, 45 minutes away from my Virginia home. I'm so jealous, Napoleon. That is beautiful country you live in. Really gorgeous country. You went to Pompeii. That's another one of my bucket list items. I was hoping the first pilgrimage that I was trying to plan when I first came to the Station of the Cross, I was trying to put a pilgrimage together to Italy. And Pompeii was on my list. We were going to go to Pompeii, but that fell through. Wasn't able to do that pilgrimage, and so I've never been to Pompeii. I've never been south of Rome. Rome is the furthest south in Italy I've ever been. Someday I'd like to go to Pompeii, especially because of Bartolo Longo, who is now a Saint Bartolo Longo. Bartolo Longo, in order to make reparation for his sins, spent the rest of his life trying to rehabilitate the Valley of Pompeii. The Valley of Pompeii, since the eruption of Vesuvius and the destruction of those peoples, had never been the same. It was always after that sort of dilapidated and, it wasn't thriving, especially from a religious perspective, even though they had been centuries. So he goes door to door to pass out rosaries. He goes door to door to teach people how to pray the rosaries. He puts together conferences and events, festivals about the rosary. And he builds a chapel as he makes a promise to Our Lady. And he builds a chapel, and he buys the only oil painting which was required for a chapel was that you had to have oil on canvas. He bought the only oil on canvas painting he could afford, and it was described as being an ugly country woman instead of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And he tried to have it changed. Yeah, and sort of like make it look better. I don't think it went well. But despite the fact that he put that painting up, the instant he puts that painting up, miracles begin to happen. People start to have miraculous healings when they come to this chapel. So people started flocking to the chapel. And then Our Lady of Pompeii visits one of the people. I think it was a young girl, if I remember correctly, and she is healed. And so the devotion to Our Lady of Pompeii begins to spread. And what I love about that story is because I also have a devotion to Our Lady of Trefontane, Our Lady of a Revelation in Rome, and I have stones from the grotto of Our Lady of Trefontane. Bruno Cornicchiola, the seer at Our Lady of Revelation in Rome, he used to beat his wife mercilessly. He was a very rough man. And he would beat his wife. He would beat his children. And while he was beating his wife would implore the intercession of Our Lady of Pompeii for her husband. And when her husband was leading her out of the Catholic Church because he hated the Catholic Church and he wanted to murder the Pope, his wife, in trying to be submissive to her husband, said, "I will do it on one condition." He had to make the devotion to the First Fridays, and he had to take it seriously. And then she said to him, "But if Our Lady calls you back, you must come." And of course, that is exactly what happened. So I argue there is a direct connection between Our Lady of Pompeii and Our Lady of Trefontane, Our Lady of Revelation. And Bartolo Longo, the man who, when his dad died, was led astray by a Catholic professor, a former Catholic priest turned professor, turned secularist, turned occultist, turned Satanist, turned Bartolo Longo onto the occult and to Satanism. And of course, it would be the rosary and a Dominican priest that would save him, bring him back, call him to repentance. It's a great story. I'm so glad he's now a saint. Praise be to God. But I have to, even though I love the fact that he is now Saint Bartolo Longo, I still have to ask the question, why exactly do we not have a Saint Miguel Pro? Why exactly has that not been declared? But Joe, the Mexican government doesn't want it. And why do we care what the Mexican government does or doesn't want to have? He either is or is not a saint because he was martyred for the faith, right? And if he's martyred for the faith, then he's a saint. And he deserves that recognition, in my humble opinion. But again, my opinion and a nickel will get you absolutely nowhere. Akota, good morning to you. Says Wisconsin does not have as good a quality of coffee as the Pacific Northwest. Probably true, but it's still good enough, right? Tuscany is a must, says Giancarlo. Oh, Tuscany sounds amazing. I've never been there. Someday. The only places in Italy that I've been is I've crossed the Dolomites. We drove over and on top of and across the Swiss Alps through the Dolomites. Then we went down to Venice and we turned around and drove back. We actually did that twice, I think. We crossed the Dolomites twice. We've been to Venice once. Maybe that's what it was, which was an amazing trip. I did that back in the late 80s. And then, of course, I've been to Rome now 3 times. But otherwise, not much beyond that. So someday I'd love to go see Tuscany. I'd love to see Florence. I'd love to see Valley of Pompeii, Naples. There'd be a lot I'd love to see. It'd be amazing. And then, of course, someday to get down to Malta would be truly incredible. Christine, you are amazing. I'm grateful you were on the team. Thank you. St. Bartolo was so afraid he would be a Satanist priest always because of a Catholic priest is forever. And so asked Our Lady if this was the case. She asked him to build a shrine to Our Lady of Pompeii. Exactly. Because as it was told to St. Dominic, he who perpetuates the rosary will be saved. He dedicated the rest of his life to it. ACT pilgrimage. I was hoping to go to Scotland next year. I was planning for it, but literally everything has fallen through on it. Everything I've tried so far to set up for that has really fallen through. So I'm taking that to mean it's not God's holy will. It was such an epic schedule, though. It was just truly an epic schedule. You would have hit a dozen or more Catholic saints along the way. So cool. But it does not seem to be God's will. So it is what it is. We'll see if it's God's will that I should ever go on another pilgrimage. We'll see. I don't know. I still want to go to Mexico. I still want to go see Our Lady Guadalupe. That's still high on my list. I still would love to see some of the beautiful churches in Michoacan. But, I mean, outside of Mexico City, I don't know. I'd have to get Polichicho to go down there with me to protect me the whole time. Like, I don't know. Can you take pilgrims to other parts of Mexico? Or do you just go to Mexico City because that's sort of the easiest and safest? I don't actually know. Someday. Douglas says, I've driven from Central Sicily to Aviano like 20 times. Oh, I'm super jealous. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty amazing. Coda says, it's not that Miguel Pro deserves recognition for sainthood. It is us, the faithful in this life, deserve the recognition of sainthood. I don't understand the question. I don't understand the statement, Coda. You're going to have to help me understand what you're trying to tell me there. Miguel Pro is literally a martyr. He died a martyr's death. He forgave his executioners. He prayed and he died in the cruciform position. It's documented that he was a martyr for the faith. And yet we have, out of politics, not given him the title of saint. I'm scandalized by that, and that needs to be recognized and reconciled, in my humble opinion. Venice is the city, says Albie, that belongs to tourists now. There are few Venetians. I did not like Venice, to be honest. It was trash throughout the waterways. It floods. It's a mess. The water is polluted. I mean, it is a serious tourist trap. You're way overpaying for everything. Is St. Mark's there epic? Yeah, it's epic. The dome, you see it from miles away. It's grand on a big scale. In fact, when I was there, the USSR was still a thing, because I remember seeing one of their ships docked with the sickle and hammer, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. You know, obviously in the era of Cold War movies, seeing the sickle and hammer and live and in person was pretty impressive. But those were the days. But yeah, Venice was not my favorite city. Northern Italy, I love the Dolomites. The Dolomites are incredibly beautiful and amazing, but I didn't love Northern Italy. Not really. Long live the Tlaxcalans. Tlaxcalan. How do I say that correctly? Who helped Cortez? Yes. We should walk in the footsteps of Cortez. That should be the pilgrimage we go on. Walk in the footsteps of Cortez. Problem is, we're going to have to pay off the federales to be with us to keep us safe the whole time. And we'd have to, who do we have to pay off? There's the question, because I'm told it's illegal now to climb the Aztec temples, the pyramids. But clearly we have to climb to the top, pray a rosary in reparation for the many crimes and sins committed by the Satanists there, and dominate it once again for the glory of God and for the salvation of souls. So who do we have to pay off to make that happen? That's the next question in my mind. We should look into that. Zena, maybe on a travel company can do, like, who do you got to pay and not pay in Mexico in order to get stuff done? I don't know. Maybe the travel company knows. Zena says, my son was in Mexico City on business, and he said that the shrine of Guadalupe was right there. You don't leave the area. You see? But here's the question. Why, if they had the beautiful old church, it's still there, from my understanding, but they built this ugly new thing. Why? Why do we do that? Exactly. Why? I don't, not understanding. Help me understand. Tlaxcala is amazing. Yeah, I would love to see it. Michael Thomas, thanks for being on the team today, by the way. You've been where 5 times? Seen many miracles there. Talking about Medjugorje? Bologna? Visit Bologna. I lived there too. Food is fantastico. Food in Italy generally is amazing. I've always enjoyed my food experiences in Italy. I just don't like overpaying for it. When I go to Rome, I love going into the grocery stores. I like buying the food in the grocery stores. When I went to Athens, went to the grocery store, and I got great barbecue ribs from the grocery store at Athens. Fantastico. So good. Go visit the grocery stores. You find great food there. Praise be to God. I love it. And music means we are out of time today. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. Trad Jack Burton, man. Come on, get off your phone. Go do something cool in Scotland. Like toss a sheep or something. I don't know. Send pictures. We're trying to live vicariously through you this week. Mike Patino is still hanging out. Thank you for Mike for producing for us today. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning. We're going to have Kevin Wells on the team. Until then, God love you, God bless you, and share us with a friend.